You are 18 years old, sweeping coal dust off the floor of a textile mill in Leeds, England, 1915, when a recruitment sergeant marches in. He stands on a crate, mustache waxed stiff, eyes like a hawk scanning for prey. He is here for you. He does not ask. He points a gloved finger, shouting about king and country, inspecting your shoulders, your height, your youth, like you are raw material for a factory. Then he hands you the king's shilling, and just like that, you are gone. Volunteered. Not as a hero, not even as a soldier, really, but as filler for the gaps in the line. Your mother's tears fade as the train whistle screams, her face blurred by steam and soot. You are 18, barely old enough to drink a pint legally, and now you are cargo headed for the Western Front. The cattle car stinks of unwashed bodies and fear, and your stomach churns, not just from the motion, but from the whispers you have heard. Boys like you do not come back whole. Ever. You arrive at a staging camp in Etaples, gray as a prison, where instructors with voices like grinding gears herd you like livestock. Stripped to your underwear, you stand shivering in the mud as a doctor pokes and prods your chest and feet. One boy is sent home for a heart murmur. Another is kept because he can walk and hold a rifle. Yeah, the Lee Enfield. They hand you the heavy wood and steel and teach you to stab sacks of straw until your hands blister. Sounds noble, right? Wrong. It is a slaughterhouse training program. You pass the inspection barely. Now you are in the trenches, a scar across the earth filled with lice and whispered prayers. Older soldiers stare, their eyes hollow, the 1,000-yard stare. They are not your mentors. They are survivors. And they would steal your dry socks to keep their own feet from rotting. Your first job? Sentry duty on the fire step for a corporal who strikes you for coughing. Your eyes sting from lack of sleep, but closing them is a luxury you cannot afford. The rules are simple. Keep your head down, keep your kit clean, survive. Stick your head up, and you are out of a job. No, you are dead. Maybe a sniper's bullet, maybe a whiz-bang shell in the worst possible way. A boy next to you whispers about a sentry who fell asleep. He vanished. Rumors say he was tied to a gun wheel in the freezing rain for field punishment number 1. You are learning this fast. This is not a battlefield. It is a graveyard that hasn't been filled in yet. And you are armed with nothing but a tin hat and your terror. A year has passed and you are 19 now, trapped in the mud of the Somme, 1916. A wasteland draped in barbed wire. The trench walls drip with slime, and the air is thick with cordite and the sweet rotting smell of the unburied. You trudge through knee-deep clay, each step a suction cup trying to pull you down. Because dry feet mean life, and wet feet mean trench foot. Your toes turn black, swell up, and rot while still attached to your body. Your days start before dawn, stand to, waiting for an attack that might not come. Your job? Repair the wire while staying invisible. Move too slow and a Maxim gun cuts you in half. Drop your wire cutters and you are denied rum rations for a week. The cold is a great teacher. Apparently the enemy trench is the prize, and every general is playing a deadly game to take it. You are taught to go over the top and walk into fire. But the real battlefield is the waiting. That soldier with the twitchy eye, Miller, he spreads a rumor you are hoarding canned beef. Now you are scrubbing the latrines while he smokes your cigarettes. Another veteran slips you a warning. Trust no one. The redcaps, the military police, are behind the lines, ready to shoot anyone who runs back. He is not wrong. Last week, a boy panicked during a barrage and tried to flee. A redcap put a revolver to his head. They say the rats ate well that night. Your big break comes when the lieutenant picks you for a night patrol. You are blackened with burnt cork, face dark as a shadow. But it is a death sentence, not an honor. You carry a trench club, a brutal wooden handle studded with iron nails. Your skin crawls, but you cannot flinch. The captain watches from his dugout, drinking tea from China. His gaze a weight on your back. One wrong move, A cough, a snap of a twig, a splash in a shell hole, and you are not just spotted, you are erased. Your hands shake, gripping the club, knuckles white under the dirt. The lieutenant whispers low and urgent as a star shell flares overhead. You freeze, posing like a corpse, heart hammering against your ribs. Silence. The veteran nods. Not useless, he grunts. A lifeline in this hell. Then the gas siren wails, a hand-cranked rattle that sounds like a scream. Chlorine gas. Your pulse roars like a drum, drowning out the artillery. If you get your mask on in 6 seconds, you live. If you do not, you drown on dry land, your lungs filling with fluid like the hundreds lost last month. You fumble with the canvas hood, eyes watering, breath holding. The cloud drifts over, green and yellow, heavy as death. A shadow looms, a boy next to you clawing at his throat, mask forgotten in panic. You watch, heart choking your throat, unable to help. His face turns blue, frothing at the mouth. Please me or you will wish you hadn't, the war seems to say. You survive the cloud, but the sound of his coughing lingers in your trembling hands. Your reflection in the periscope is a stranger. By 20, you are a ghost who has learned the trench's code. Dodge the mortars, sidestep the officers glory hunting, and pray you do not end up like the boy who got hung up on the wire last week, his body dancing in the wind like a puppet. Survival is your only religion, and you are painting it in mud. You are 20, and Passchendaele has carved you into something sharp, like a bayonet. Your feet ache, your smile is a grimace, and your eyes miss nothing. You have learned to dodge the sergeant's bullying and slip past the worst details, but every day is a gamble. The major has noticed you once. He called your name for a runner mission, and for a fleeting moment, you felt like more than a number. Now you are a lance corporal. Jackpot, right? Wrong. A stripe is your ticket to slightly better pay, but it is also a target on your back. That rival Miller, now a corporal, spreads a rumor you have a self-inflicted wound, a blight. He claims you burned your own hand to get sent home, a capital offense. You did not. It was a hot barrel of a Lewis gun, but truth is a luxury nobody cares about here. You are hauled before the court-martial board, officers sitting behind a table with clean tablecloths. Prove your innocence, the colonel states, or face the firing squad at dawn. Your heart is a hammer in your chest, but you stand at attention, voice steady, and show the burn pattern. A redcap's hand hovers over his holster. By some miracle, the medic vouches for you. He confirms the burn matches the gun, not a cigarette. You are spared, but the message is clear. You are one lie away from a blindfold and a post. You lead a section over the top in 1917, and the air buzzes like angry hornets. A successful raid could make you a sergeant, but it paints a bullseye on your helmet. You crawl through craters, whispering orders, while rumors swirl of tanks getting stuck in the mud, becoming iron coffins. Sleep is a stranger now. You jolt awake at every thud, expecting a tunnel mine to blow you sky high. The captain summons you again, and you are gathered in a bunker. Maps fluttering, earth shaking. You listen to the plan, the big push, and he smiles. You are named section leader. Congratulations, you have climbed one rung in hell, but the deeper you go, the harder they push to make you fall. Your only ally, a signalman named Tom, warns you of a trap. Miller has volunteered your section for the first wave against a pillbox. Concrete and machine guns. It means suicide. Not just you, but your men. You act fast, feigning a radio failure to delay the advance by 2 minutes. The artillery barrage hits the pillbox late, destroying it before you arrive. Miller's plan to get you killed fails. You win this round, but at what cost? Your hands shake as you check your ammo, knowing every victory makes you more enemies. By 21, you are a survivor, a rat who has learned the maze. But the game never ends. A new enemy arrives. Not Germans, the Spanish flu. It is 1918. The trenches are wet, cold, and crowded. perfect for a plague. The captain's gaze shifts. He is coughing blood. When the flu sweeps the dugout, you hear whispers of a collapse, men dropping dead without a bullet touching them. You wrap your greatcoat tighter, praying you are not next. Survival is your crown, but it is forged in bacteria and filth, and it is heavier than you ever imagined. You are 21. Your lungs wheeze like a broken bellows in a war that chews up generations. You have dodged shrapnel, both steel and whispered, but the air is heavier now, thick with sickness. The war is stalling. The Germans are starving, but so are you. Your name is on a list for leave. You feel it in your gut. Then it happens. Miller, desperate and cracking up, accuses you of cowardice during the last retreat. He claims you threw away your rifle. A shooting offense. You are dragged to the rear, the mud sucking at your boots. The sound of distant victory bells echoes from the village as you are forced to your knees, your trench foot throbbing like a second heartbeat. The provost marshal looms, his voice ice. Confess or rot. Your throat is dry as ash, but you spit out a denial, praying your luck holds. The pen hovers, sharp as a dagger. Then a shout. Tom bursts in, clutching Miller's own kit bag, finding your lost rifle hidden there. Miller tried to frame you to save his own skin from a negligence charge. The marshal pauses, eyes narrowing. The pen drops, not on your name, but on Miller's. He is dragged away, screaming, boots dragging in the dirt. You are spared, but your soul is not safe. The armistice comes in November, 11 o'clock. The guns stop. The silence is louder than the shelling. You survive the war, but the cost lingers in your trembling hands. You return to Leeds, but the factory feels small, the noise of the looms terrifying like machine guns. You are 22, an old man in a young body. Your lungs scarred from gas, your feet numb from the cold, your mind stuck in the mud. You are no longer the volunteer. A new world is building over the ruins. But you have left a mark. You survived. You kept your head down. As you lie on a cheap mattress, coughing the coal dust and gas out of your chest, the city roars on. You were never just a soldier. You were a spark in an empire's fire, a shadow that outwitted the reaper until the whistle blew.